Hi everybody. Oh, that light's bright for me. Maybe I'll turn this way. Jesse boy is out. How's that? I've seen him. I'll show you a little bit of him while he's hanging with me a little bit, and maybe I can get his head a little bit too for you. But guys, I'm not going to make him stay with me. I am going to let him cruise on down and go for a little bit of an explore as to where Jesse might want to go, which is what I do with my snakes. I don't sit here keeping them on me all the time, and especially Jesse, who tends to have some issues with stuff. Well, he grips me like you would not believe, guys, to keep balanced or feel supported or something along that lines. And you know, I question that. You know, I felt it was possibly you know, him not being very good with his weight transfer. But you know, he's one of those snakes that is perfectly fine in his enclosure and not so good when you get him out, and that could be stress, although I've been doing that with Jesse forever, getting him out. And for that first year of Jesse's life, honestly, well, I didn't have him for the first year of his life, but you know, for the first 6 months he was great. He was perfectly fine, and then he just deteriorated in terms of whatever's going on for him. But I'll try and get my arm out, which can be a bit difficult, and I'll try and hold his tail for him, which tends to give him some sort of security. It's just the way he is, guys. So anyway, bear with me and I'll flick this camera around and we'll get on to the subject of what this video is going to be about. Jack is up there in shed. I don't know if you can actually see him, but he's just under the white shelf. What I'll do is I'll zoom for you. Maybe that might help. And you can definitely see him there. But he's in shed, but he just took a great big massive drink of water. And if you know that I do sometimes give Jack a drink with a pipette, and boy, I think he drank half that cup full of water. So he was definitely thirsty, and I guess when they're in shed, that's a good thing for them to do, is to drink. But let's get back to Jesse, who, you know, as you can see, he's beautiful with his patterns and his colours, and you know, there is no denying that my young man here is a beautiful looking young man, but just has some issues. And I'm not going to say that possibly there's something else in Jesse, because there possibly is, but anyway, he's okay, and he's a good boy, and he's friendly, and he gets on well with everybody. Not. He is very much certainly more comfortable with me handling him than he is anybody else. And the moment that I hand him to anybody, he immediately goes into a panic to find me. and comes back to me. So it's just the way that he is. So, but the topic is pretty much how often to feed your carpet python, and it's varied. Everybody has a different time frame and what and how and all the rest of it. And I guess that you could put that down to that every snake is an individual. They're all different and none are the same. And just because they're a carpet python doesn't mean that that carpet python is going to do and eat and everything like that carpet python does, because it really doesn't work like that. But I'll try and give you a little bit of a rundown on what I do, which may help people. Of course, it's not the only way to do. You will figure that out with your snake. But if I can give you sort of some guide on it, maybe it will help dismiss some of those things that you're not sure about. And basically what I say is, you know, as little babies, I really like for that first year of their life especially, to feed them a couple of times a week, but the smaller feeder a couple of times a week, not the bigger feeder once every 7 days. So if, say for example, you were giving fuzzies, where you going, dude? Giving fuzzies, instead of giving the fuzzy, give to a rat pup twice a week. That's what I would do. Of course, if they move up to a fuzzy, which, you know, can happen within 6 months depending on the species. If it were a coastal, you know, you could go to that fuzzy every 7 days, but I wouldn't feed them any less than every 7 days for the first year of their life. Then, as they go up, I would maintain them on that weekly, 7 days. But once they hit, for example, Jesse's age, and he's now roughly 2 years of age, and he's actually eating what would be sub-adults. And I'm still feeding Jesse every week at this particular point. But that's because he's telling me that he's hungry. And I know that he's hungry. But I also like to gauge it a little bit on the theory of feeding them, letting them digest, they go to the toilet, wait a few days before you feed them again. And that can be 7 days. It can... Sorry guys, I just had to stop the recording. My dog was going berserk, but yeah, they go to the toilet, and roughly that can be a 7-day cycle. As they take a bigger feeder, they will take a little bit longer to digest that feeder. So the time before they actually use the toilet could be 10 days. Then I would wait, and this is where we get into that 14-day cycle with carpet pythons that are taking that bigger meal. If you are feeding a bigger feeder and you're just ramming it in every week, you would see it as all that they are doing is eating, digesting, eating, digesting. There is no break in between. So I'm stumbling over words. It's been a long day, guys, but that's all that they would be doing. So if you're going to feed every 7 days, and that's the routine you like, then I'd rather you offer them smaller feeders, not one big large feeder. So that's just my logic on it. I'd rather smaller feeders more often than that large feeder more often. Definitely a large feeder less often. And go by your snake. Jessie tells me I'm hungry. I know it's only been 7 days, but I'm hungry. Now Jessie's been to the toilet, and he went to the toilet a couple of days ago. So we are up to 7 days, and I will feed him. So they do like routine. Everybody says they like routine, they like consistency, they like that, and they do. I'm not going to say that they don't. But does that mean that they spend the rest of their life eating every 7 days? Jessie, I'm not going to be able to help you much, bud, unless you kind of help yourself a little bit here, dude. Here we go. I'll get him up so he's got a fair amount of himself up there so he can balance better, grip better, support better. That Jessie needs to do. So, is that how you have to do it? And this is why I get a little bit stumped on people that feed every snake every 7 days, because that's what they do. And it's irrelevant to whether that snake eats or not. And if that snake doesn't actually eat, then it waits again for another 7 days. Because that's when I thaw my rats out, and that's when I get them out, and that's when I do feeding. And I'm not saying that's how everybody does it. I would never say everybody does it like that, but some do. And I don't believe that is the right way to do it. So right now, my Amaya, for example, is on 7-day feeds, but she's having 2 rat pups. Prior to that, she would have 2 rat pups, but I'd split it up over the week. She's almost ready to go on to the fuzzies, and I did try her, but she refuses to actually take them, guys. So for now she's on the rat pups, and I wanted to get over to something with fur and a little bit more fat in it. Of course, we don't want to feed them anything with a lot of fat, and remembering when you're getting up to those big rats, they do have a lot of fat. If you're feeding a massive snake, that's not going to really matter that much. But when you're just feeding, for me, your average sized coastal, well, for me, Jack, is nowhere near ready. But extra large or jumbos to be good for him, he would probably take an extra large. I just choose not to give it to him. One day I'm going to have to, and then Jack would be on a lot longer time frame between being fed. So it is very, which is the right way, which is the wrong way. Should I do weekly, fortnightly, every 10 days? And I really do believe it just still comes down to your snake and what your snake is telling you. And they are all different. I may have occasionally 2 that are feeding at or on the same day, but never all of them. You know, some don't shed, or they all shed, but some don't eat while they're shedding. So that makes up any routine that you may have. So play by what you see and what you think is going on for your snake, and not what any book says or even what I say. I'm just telling you roughly. I just go with my own gut on a lot of that aspect of it. So I hope I haven't confused all of that any more than what was already confusing about it. That is just how I do it. You know, Maya eats a large wiener and she eats that every 14 days and she doesn't want it any time in between, and I've offered after 10 days she won't touch it. I go in there on the 14th day and she can't get to that rat quick enough. So they'll tell you also when they want to eat. So guys, Jesse's going to have a little bit of exercise today, do his thing, which as I said, once he's out and he's going, he's happy.